Welcome to our first little perspective drawing task. These are just very quick, simple tasks to get us back into what technical drawing is. So the first one we're going to be doing is a sunset, just a very quick sunset. All we need is some nice white paper, a good ruler, pencil, make sure it's sharp. Sharp pencils draw better than blunt pencils, and a rubber. Mine's seen a bit of use in its time, so it's a bit dirty. Okay, so I don't want you to spend a huge amount of time. In fact, 5 minutes is all I want you to spend on this first task. And it doesn't have to be perfect. This is literally just a have a go task. So let's draw up a bit of a box. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just whack in some lines here. All right. Okay, ready to go. So, horizon line is our first thing we're going to do. Can be wherever you want it to go. Let's pop it in. I'm gonna go, about there. So my horizon line. Okay, this is 1 point perspective, which means we have 1 point that we draw from. That is also called the vanishing point. So I'm going to whack in my 1 point right there. All right, so that is my vanishing point. So I'm going to draw my sun setting over the top of that one. So just rough it in. Once you've sort of got it the way you want it, it gets darker. We always draw a little bit lighter. I would normally use a much lighter pencil, but just for this video, I use a darker one so you can see it a bit better. So we go over it darker once we're happier with it. All right, so we're going to create the rows in our field first. So let's just start with a straight down. If we were going to do this correctly, not just a quick starter activity, we would measure out our points along here and make it all even. But we're just going to do it by eye because I just want you to have a quick go. So we're just going to slowly, from my vanishing point, moving it out. One more in there. Reasonably even. And then continue it. Putting my nice sharp pencil, oops, that line went a bit skew-if, on my vanishing point. Oh, that line went very skew-if. Okay. Bit of a muck up there, but that's okay. So now I've got my sun rays going over my land. Now I'm going to create my actual sun. So again, we're going to make these a bit bigger. So not as many of them. Oh, has that gone right from there? Yep. Next one there. Next one there. Might get in 2 more. Last one. Okay, so there is my sun rising up over the horizon. So that we can see that, I might put in a bit of a cloud, climbs up. Then you would rub out that line because it's in front of that. I'll put another one there, a bit smaller. Rub out that. And a little one over here. Rub out that bit there. Okay, so very quick, very easy. Sunset. Drawing 1 point perspective boxes. Right, good ruler, sharp grey lead, good rubber. To do this, we start with our vanishing point. This is 1 point perspective, so just 1 point. So there's my vanishing point right there. I'm now going to draw 5 random boxes around my vanishing point. Now you can rule these if you want to. I'm just going to quickly draw them in. I only want you to spend 2 minutes on this task, 10 minutes, sorry, on this task. Might make that one a bit bigger. So we're drawing in. You should probably use a ruler. Let's do a little one here. 5 boxes. A good start. Now you can absolutely do as many boxes as you want, but let's start with 5. Now, ruler, vanishing point, corners. They're the 3 things you need to do. So I have my vanishing point. I put my pencil in there, make sure it's nice and sharp. Vanishing point, I'm going to do this box first here. Vanishing point to each edge of my box. So to the next one. To the next one. Now you wouldn't see this one because if that's a solid, okay, we can't see through. So what we're creating is like a looking down a hole effect. So we've got our boxes floating up nice and high and we're looking down into it. So again, pencil on the vanishing point, and I'm going to go from each edge, this box here, slowly moving it around. In. Okay, so we can see what we're doing there. Give it a little tick. This one. Oh, this one just... Sometimes you might find you won't get that 3rd line in depending on where the box is sitting. Another really fine one. Then out here to this one. Okay, so as I said, if you want to add a few more boxes in, by all means. What I'd like you to do now, though, is give it some depth. And what I mean by depth is thinking of our light source. So at the moment, our light source, let's say, is coming right from the top. So up here, so it's hitting the tops of these boxes. So they're going to be bright white because the light source is hitting them. So the further down we go, the darker it gets. So, and I like to use my pencil on the side, okay? And we're going to start just with a little shadow in. And my shadow, as it gets up to the top, is going to get lighter and lighter. So darker down the bottom, getting lighter. Okay. Now again, this is just a 10-minute task. So I don't want you spending hours getting this correct. Now that line started to disappear, so just so that it stands out nicely, I'm going to go over the top of it now a bit darker, so it really stands out there. And I might even just make these a bit darker so it all stands out. Okay, so going through each one. Dark to light. All right, drawing a cityscape. Good ruler, sharp pencil, rubber. I've already drawn a box. Okay, nice, neat box. This is just basic 1-point perspective activities. A nice quick one. Maybe spend about 15 minutes on this one, just so that you've got to go. So the first thing we're going to do is just very lightly, because these are my working lines, very lightly draw across through my box, okay? And as you can see, that has now created my vanishing point right there. So that's my horizon line. So I'm going to draw that one on as well. Get that nice and even. Okay, now I am working very lightly. You can probably only just see those lines. Okay, so just see if you can see me. So you can see the lines there. All right, back out we go. All right, they are our working lines. So we'll end up probably rubbing those out. We're going to draw a cityscape. So we're going to have some city block buildings on this side, some trees on this side, and this is our road. Okay. All right, let's start with our pavement or pathway. So using our vanishing point, just going to draw in my pathway, vanishing point, drawing my pathway. Okay, so when it comes to this, I'm going to draw in my pathway lines. So if I just draw it in. Now, as we get closer to the vanishing point, it's disappearing into the distance. So my lines will get closer and closer together. So I'm just going to make those lines a little bit darker there for you. Oops, break my pencil, that's no good. Oh, now it's a thicker pencil. Oops. Just so that's a bit easier for you to see there. Okay, pathway. Now I'm going to draw in my lines. See me just drawing in my lines there, and they're slowly going to get bigger the closer we get to the front of my drawing. We can fit one more in there. Okay, so there's my pathway. Too easy with my little lines getting smaller as they go along. So I'm going to draw some trees along this way here. I'm going to freehand a little bit of this. As I said, this isn't perfect. This is us just getting used to what we have to do here. So if I'm going to put a big tree in, we always put our horizontal lines in like that. So base of my tree, and I'm going to use this as my guideline. So all my trunks have to come up there. Okay, I'm not going to do anything too fancy. I'm going to use this line here as my guideline. So my trees are going to be nice. Oh, he's going to pop out of the picture there. Big trees, so we rub out those guidelines there. So he's just popping out of the picture. Okay, so my next one's going to be about there. Pop it in, and again he's going to go to just past that line as my guide. Oops. Just wrapping this in. So what's happening to my trees here? They're getting smaller and they're following this down. So I'm going to do another one out there. What about those guidelines? And you can see that distance happening there. So they're getting closer together, skinnier trunks. Still starting the bottom of my tree, or the trunk still goes to that middle horizon line. My leaves still start just underneath there. Might get another, what do you reckon, another 2 in? Another 1 in. Okay, now these guys are pretty uniform, which doesn't usually happen, but we're just getting used to drawing in perspective there. There we go. Beautiful tree-lined street. Okay. Okay, off to the next side. So for the next side, we're going to put in a couple of buildings. Let's see how many buildings we can fit in here. To draw our buildings, we're going to use this guideline here, okay, and this guideline here. So we're going to start again with our closest building. We're going to draw it in. So we draw it all the way. Now you could probably use a ruler for this. And I've stopped right there where it hits that crossover. And then I'm going to go down that line. Okay, maybe a little bit more. Use my ruler, make sure it's parallel to that line. And it's going to come all the way down to my pavement. So all the way down and stop at my pavement. So I've got 1, 2, 3 lines. Okay, 1, 2, 3 lines. Now, this corner here needs to come down to our pavement as well. And when it hits the pavement, don't move your pencil. So exactly where it hits the pavement now goes there. Okay, so even with that one. So if we rub out this guideline and this guideline, because now we've got our building. So we're going to do the next one again. And again, they're getting smaller as they go off into the distance. So I'm going to start here, draw my line out, down, use my ruler again, draw down to the pavement. So the 1, 2, 3. Okay, that one's not exactly straight there, is it? Need to even him up a bit. That'll do. Now where I've got this corner here, the corner goes down to the pavement, but I leave my pencil on the pavement and I draw that straight line across. So I've got 2 buildings. My next one, straight across, down, down to the pavement on the corner, down to the pavement and across. Do you reckon I'll fit another one in? Let's do another little one. In, down to the pavement. There. there. So can we see? I've got the buildings all lined up with spaces between them. Okay. Rub out those guidelines so you can see that a bit better. Okay, so now we've got our tree lined and our building line. So just so you can sort of see that a bit more, I'm just going to shade a little bit in here. So darker in the corner, getting lighter as it comes out. And you can start to see that that's the bit between the buildings. In there. Okay, so we can see the buildings there. Right, if we want to add details to our buildings, again, we just whack in a guideline. So I'm going to draw the doorways. Okay, so where do I want my doors to come up to? About there. So really lightly. Okay, so you can hardly see it. Okay, my first doorway is going to go in here. So they nice straight line down. This is going to be a nice big open door here. Okay, so at the moment that's looking a bit flat. We can do the same thing that we did for the edge of our buildings here. I can draw in that line there. Okay, so now it looks like you are going into my building. Easy, so it's a big open sort of passageway there. Next, I might want to put some windows on. So if we want to add our windows, again, we do our guideline there. So I might do one window there. Next window there. Okay. So there's lots of things we can then do to add details to this drawing. We can add in, so if these are buildings, you can add in a sign using those same guidelines. Now, if you're going to do a sign, remember your lettering still has to follow these guidelines. So if this is my sign above the door, okay, and you would write in your sign here. I don't know, A, B, okay. That's it, that's pretty simple. You can start adding things on. Again, general guidelines, go in, and this might be a pathway that you add in, okay, or another road going off in the distance, okay, or a bike path so you can put people walking on it. Do your clouds in the sky. So what things could we add to it? All right, we'll leave it there for a moment.